everybody to week 4. This is the 4th week in the series all about how to sell and deliver your high ticket offer with ease. That is a topic for today. Last week, we actually went right into sales. So we went from now you have a super aligned high ticket offer. How do we actually sell that in an aligned way that doesn't feel sleazy or pitchy or whatever? And so we broke down the 5 main points of how I actually sell my high ticket offers on discovery calls or strategy calls without it feeling sleazy. And so last week, if you want to get that recap in depth, go ahead and rewatch that. Today, I'll go ahead and do a recap about that. And then we're going to talk about objections. So sales objections. Now, we're going to do a quick recap about what a discovery call can feel like. And this should be really easy, guys. I do discovery calls, sales calls, strategy calls all the time. And most of the time I end up inviting the client to come work with me because they're aligned fit. And that's because I know how to filter the right people coming into my programs. I know how to get the right people on my calls. But it should feel easy, okay? So let's recap from last week before we dive into objections, because the objections shouldn't feel hard. This is usually the big problem that people have with sales is like, what happens if somebody says they don't have enough money or they want you to talk to their husband or like all the things. So we're going to talk about the 5 objections today that are most common that I see and how to basically tackle those in an aligned way. But let's recap about last week. What we talked about the 5-step framework that I use, and I use this to sell 10K plus programs. Okay. So I've used it back when I sold $2,000 programs. Okay. So like you really need to understand this framework. No matter what price point you're selling for high ticket, whether it's $1,000 or higher, it doesn't matter. Use this framework. It always works and it feels connected to your potential client, to your person, to your person on the call. So last week we talked about the 5 steps, the 5 practical step framework I use for discovery calls. So step 1 is connecting. This is the one that most people seem to forget. Like you literally just need to connect on the call. If this is somebody you don't know, like take your time here. This can take 5, 10, 20 minutes, okay? Just like get to know them a little bit more, get that rapport built and make it casual and make it seem really natural, okay? So connect is number 1. Number 2, you wanna set the expectations. So once you're like, okay, we've got a good rhythm going, you want to set the expectations for the call and get right into the meat of it, because that's why you're on the call together, is to give them free advice or help them see something else, strategize with them, whatever that is. You need to set the expectations. So what I usually say is like, hey, I'm so glad we're on this call together. Usually we've been talking for a little while. So I say, I know we can talk forever because you and I seem to be super aligned. So I just want to get right into the meat of why we're here today and set some expectations for a call. Like I'm basically just here to help you. Like we're going to talk about what's not working, what is working, what the struggles are, and dive more into what it is you're actually needing. And of course, if I can help you in any way, I will share how I do that. And is that cool with you? They're going to say yes. And then you keep going. Okay. So it's really important not to skip this part, because you want to frame it up that like, this is what you're expecting this to be. This isn't just a shoot the shit. This is actually like, I need to ask you questions to figure out where you're at so that I can give you the best advice possible. Because unsolicited advice, unsolicited info where you just assume where the person is doesn't make any sense. And so that's why the questions need to happen. That's why you need to ask these questions on the calls, okay? So do not skip that part. Number 3 is the pain points. Now, usually I switch number 3 and number 4 depending on who I'm talking to. So number 4 is goals. So sometimes you can do goals first and then pain points, but most of you will do pain points first. I think it's really important to be like, hey, what isn't working out? What's going on with your business? What's going on with this? And so really diving into like what isn't working, why that hurts for them, what isn't working, what have they tried, all those questions we talked about last week. That's number 4, number 3, pain points. Number 4 is goals. And so like I said, these 2 sections are a little interchangeable, but you want to do one or the other first. Don't go back and forth. That confuses the energy. Okay. So go dive into the pain points and then dive into the goals, or vice versa. So number 4 is goals, and goals is obvious. It's like, what are you desiring? What do you want to transform? What do you want to expect here? And helping them get really clear and asking also, why is that important? Why? You should be asking why in these calls a lot, because you're going to uncover those deeper answers that won't say on these calls of like what they're really asking for, and that'll help you understand them deeper once you get to any potential objections later down the road, and what they're really actually wanting and why they're wanting that. Okay. For example, if somebody tells me like, hey, I want to hit 10K months. Okay, great. Why is 10K important to you? Oh, it's just a number that I keep hearing in the digital space. Like, that's when I know it'll be successful. It's like, okay, that's interesting. So what does success look like for you? That's the follow-up question, right? Because just choosing something that's important for everybody else because it seems important isn't actually a good reason why to do something. And they may not actually be aligned with anything you have to say later on that call. So you really need to understand their specific reason why they want what they want and dive into that. And that's part of that goals, okay? And then after you've done step 1 through 4, okay, you've connected, you've set the expectations, you've gotten the pain points, you've got the goals, you know what they're doing and why they want to do it. Then you need to actually pause. Do you want to work with this person? Can you really help them? Okay. And if those are both a yes, then you invite them. Okay. Then you say, hey, I love everything you've had to say. I have a couple of things about like what you've been struggling with. I would love to share with you how I actually work through those issues. Are you ready to hear how I support my clients? Yes, absolutely. Okay. And then you're going to invite them. Now the inviting again has like a 5-step mini thing in there. You're basically running through your offer, the why, the what, the how, the where, pausing there, seeing how that feels, and then talking about the price. Okay. So like I said, I delved into this in depth last week. So like we break down each part and like the energy about each one, like what that feels like. And so if you want to get more in depth about that part here on how a discovery call feels, go ahead and watch last week's video. And today we're going to dive more into the objections. So here's where we are in this process. So let's say we've already given them the price. We tell them it's $5,000, okay? And now we're into objections. So we say the price is $5,000 and then they respond. And so most of the time, the answer is like, okay, great. Like, do you have a payment plan? I can do the payment plan. Awesome, perfect. Let's get signed up, right? But sometimes what really happens is you have a numerous amount of objections that can or possibly come up. And let me just preface this training with something. Objections are not a no. And I don't even like the word objections, but that's just like the word in marketing. So when somebody responds with one of these 5 objections, we need a better word for this, guys. If you have one, let's figure that out. They're not a no. A no is no. A yes is a yes. So these questions are like in the middle. This is like in between the yes and the no. And so the reason why I'm pointing this out is that like, if you can clear up what the miscommunication is, what that misalignment is, it will most often bring them to yes. So if you can wait with them and hold this space with them in this process, usually it's just like, this is uncomfortable. It's a big step. Yeah, it totally is. And I'm going to be with you every step of the way. Okay. So a no, if they say no on the call, great. It's a no. So now you know they're not a aligned fit. We're going to move on. If they're coming into any of these 5 objections here, it's not a no. It's just they need to clarify some points with you about the program, about the money issue, about whatever it is. So let's get into what those 5 are. Okay. So the first of the objections, and I'm also going to go into like how I basically approach these on the call. And this is all part of like intuitive sales, guys. So if you've ever heard of that, about that course that I have, this is all in right here. I'm going to dive way more into that course as well. So number one that most people freak out about sales is money. It's too expensive. I don't know if I can afford it. I don't have it. Okay. So here's kind of how this goes. Let's just like role play for a second. Hey, great. I'd love to invite you to my program. It's going to be $5,000 or 5 payments of $1,000. Wait. Sometimes I ask, how does that feel? And you just wait for them to respond. Okay. This is where those feelings come up around money. Always. They always come up. Okay. And for all of us, we have this interesting dynamic around money. So you, when you get on that call, need to ditch your money story. Okay. You need to throw it out the window. If you had a bajillion failed sales calls before, or if you are lacking like certainty around yours, you need to throw that out the window and embody your highest self. That's number 1. Number 2, don't assume their story. Okay. Don't assume where they're at. You have no idea what people do with their money. We assume that like, just because people say they're broke means they're broke. That is actually not true. Okay. Half the time people say they're broke and then they go out and buy something that they really, really need and it's $2,000. It really just is a matter of value and of what they actually think is needed for them to get to where they need to go. So you're pausing, we're waiting, you're not holding any expectations, you're just waiting to hear what they say. She responds and she says, yeah, that's just really expensive. I don't know if I can afford that. Okay, that's the first one. Now, when this happens, the energy here is really about diving into what that looks like. Okay, if somebody's saying, I don't know if I can afford it, I don't know what that, if I can swing that, if that seems too expensive, first off, yeah, it is. Wait. The reason why, because most of my clients feel this way. This is a stretch. Right? This is a stretch. Like if you were making this kind of income to be able to do the thing, you wouldn't need me. And then here we are, right? It's the same thing with investments and stuff for whatever they're needing. People will pay $2,000 for a brand new TV and not think twice. So you got to really think about like what they're actually wanting here. Now, with this objection, with the money objection, I also truly believe in accessibility. So if you have a pay in full plan and you have payment plans, those are fantastic. You can actually follow up and understand what's actually going on here. So, but you need to understand where they're coming from. So when you say, I can't afford it, what does that really mean for you? Oh, it just means like I can't do the pay in full, but I can do the payment plans. Oh, okay, great. Or maybe it's like, hey, I don't even know if I can swing the payment plan. Let's try to can we figure out something else out? Like you just need to dive deeper into what they're actually struggling with here around that option. Okay. And so we're going to dive more into like the actual way that I solve all of these objections at once at the end here. But you're going to want to ask follow-up questions about like, okay, let's dive into that. Like, do you mind if we kind of explore this a little bit? That's usually the number one thing I say for pretty much all of these objections. Like, do you mind if we dive into that a little bit more? Sure. Okay. What does that look like for you when you say, I can't afford that? Okay, well, blah, blah, blah. And they're going to tell you what's actually going on. Okay. Oh, this just feels like a little scary because I've, boom, done this before. Okay. That's another objection we're going to talk about. And so you really want to dive into clarifying questions of like, what does this actually look like for you? What does it actually mean? Like, and clarifying questions around like, oh, so you can't do the payments today, but you could do it next week, right? Like, it's just understand like what they mean, because somebody saying I don't have it can mean I don't have it today because I get paid Friday, or I don't have it at all and I can't put food on my table. And let me preface this by saying, if somebody can't put food on their table, that's a problem. We don't take money from them, period. Ever. Done. Leave the call. Okay. Not that abruptly, but that's what I mean. That's just not an aligned thing. Okay. There may be another smaller offer that you can offer them that's more aligned. So money is really interesting. We really need to dive into that a little bit more, but I'm going to run through the objections first and then talk about how I actually approach all of them at once. It's really simple. So clarifying questions around that is super, super helpful. Okay. Number two, one that I actually see is this is, and this is a lot because I work with spiritual entrepreneurs. Like, hey, I need to go pray about it. I need to go meditate about it. I need to go feel into this. Okay. Awesome. Love that. Also, side note, you need to be answering every single objection with the, yes, I totally agree. Why? Why do I say that? Because you're affirming the fact that they are having feelings around what's happening and that it's okay for them to feel the way they're feeling. Because side note, flashback to the first time you did a huge investment. How did that feel? Right? You need to like clarify that like it's okay to feel like you need some time to work with this. It's okay to want to go talk to your husband. It's okay to feel like this is a lot, because it is. It's a big level. It's a big expansion. Most of all of your works, all of you are doing big work, and it's transformative, whether it's financially or spiritually or physically or emotionally or mentally. It's huge stuff, guys. So you need to understand that like someone's standing at the edge of a cliff kind of looking at this beautiful sea of opportunities like, whoa, that's a big jump, right? And all you have to show them is that it's not actually down, it's just across, and there's like an invisible platform that they can just stand on, and it feels much, much easier. Okay. So number two is I just need to feel about it and pray about it. I was just one with, yes, I totally understand. And this also goes, side note, into a lot of people actually have an emotional authority. I think that's 50% of the population. So in human design, 50% of the population makes a decision based on emotional authority. And what that means is they basically have to go feel into what their yes really feels like. So they need to like sleep on it, literally sleep on it until it feels right. Now, most of the time, for me, I'm emotional authority. I know kind of how I'm feeling in that moment. So I can give like a solid 8 out of 10 most of the time because I've worked with this for so long. Now, it depends on where they're at, but you really want to gauge that with them and then through them with the objections like I'm about to show you. So if they're saying they need to think about it and pray about it, we're going to go into how we solve all these issues at once. And that basically looks like, hold on, I think my headphones just died. Did it just die? It did just die. Weird. Okay. And then we're going to go into the number 3 before I go into the how to magically solve all these at once. This is kind of like my go-to, okay? So they need to go feel about it. Feel into it and think about it. Awesome. That's a great objection because that means that they actually are taking this seriously in connecting with, is this a right opportunity for them? So we want to dive more into that. Okay, and what does that actually look like? Like they need to feel about it and they just like get their money together. They need to feel about it and see if this is even the right fit for them. So does that mean that there's something in this offer that doesn't quite make sense? Like, or, oh, this is a repeat. I've done this program before, right? We need to talk about that. So number 3 of objections is I need to talk to my husband. I need to find clarity, okay, with him. Now, this one is interesting. This is where I see the most sleazy shit in sales. There is nothing wrong with somebody needing to go to somebody else to talk about what their options are. I talk to my husband about literally everything in my business. He does not make moves in my business. I am the sole owner of my business. He is not even a part of my business. In fact, I will probably hire him as a COO here later this year to help me with team stuff and back end, blah, blah, blah. But he doesn't make any decisions in my business. I still talk to him about everything in my business though. And here's why, because he's a great sounding board for me to see if like how I actually feel. Like he's like a great reflection around like, does this feel aligned for me? Because emotional authority, I like talk things out all the time and I feel into what's going on. And so talking to the husband is not a bad thing. Talking to the wife is not a bad thing. Talking to their partner is not a bad thing. Talking to their dog is not a bad thing. It's literally just them trying to process what's going on. So if you can release the judgment around them, be like, yes, I would love for you to have a conversation with your husband. Here's what I usually say before we go into my amazing cure-all. Does he need to be on this call right now? Does she need to be on this call right now? Do they need to be on this call right now? Right? And like, ask that, because sometimes like, yeah, I would really like him to just be here with me. I would like her to be here with me right now. I want my wife to be on the call with me. Okay, great. Grab your wife. Is she here? Awesome. Go grab your wife. Let's talk. Because for them, that's just going to settle into like, this is what this is. This is all that is. And then when you have this one, you can really just do quick recap of like, what were the major pain points that she was struggling with? What were the major goals that she's struggling with? Why is the time now to change? Here's the offer. Let's talk about that. And most of the time out of time, if the partner is on board and they already know that they're on the call with them, they're going to be supportive of like, oh, you clearly said you're here. You want to get here. She knows how to get there. Here's the thing. You can do this. Anytime that's happened to me, that's usually been the case. Now, there are other options that can happen here, which are not supportive. And I do not want to explore those right now, because I think that if that client is in a non-supportive relationship, that kind of proves everything right there. So you just want to let that go. So that's number 3 objection here is I need to talk to my partner. Okay. Husband, wife, they, whoever, spouse, dog, cat. Okay. And then number 4 objection is I'm not sure this is the right time. Okay. I'm not sure this is the right time for me. I'm really busy. So I've gotten this one several times recently, and this is a really valid question. Now I want you to hear this. Saying I don't know if I have the right time for this right now is not a no. That says, oh my gosh, this is exciting. I really want to do this. I just literally have to finish finals, or I just literally have to finish my remodel on my house, or I just literally need to finish this first and then let's get set up. That is not a no. That's we need to start in 2 weeks. See what I'm saying? So if you stop there, right, again with these objections, if you stop there, you're like, oh, okay, that's no problem. Thanks for your time. They're going to be like, whoa, Christine, I want to work with you. I just need to 2 weeks to finish finals, finish this remodel, go bring my dog to the hospital, whatever it is, right? That's not a no. That's a yes, I want to sign up with you, just not right now in this moment. So you need to understand that that's actually a good one. It just means, okay, great, let's reconvene. And for that one, I usually recommend always putting another call on your schedule. So like, okay, great. When are you gonna be done with finals? Oh, I'm gonna be done by Friday. Let's talk Monday. So you have 2 days just to reboot and like get some food in you, get like 12 hours of solid sleep, and let's talk. Oh my God, that'd be great. I would love that. Perfect. On Monday, when you guys have another call, recap what you guys talked about. Are you ready to start? That's it. Super simple, guys. Super, super simple. Last one before we get into my cure-all is I'm not sure if it's the right program for me. I've done a program like this before. Okay, now I do get this one sometimes because most of the people that I work with have worked with business coaches in the past who were not very helpful and didn't really show them how strategies and how to actually get clients. Most of the time I hear, we did a lot of mindset. Okay, great. Did they teach you how to get clients? No. Problem. Okay, problem. So most of this is, well, here's why I'm different. Okay, so the solution to this one is really like, here's why this program is different. Here's why I'm different. This is what I'm actually going to teach you that's different that you don't know from what this person taught you based on where they are right now. Okay, and so this goes back to the points, this goes back to the goals, and this goes back to why your program is different. Again, the reason why we're here in week 4 talking about this stuff is because we've already done week 1, 2, and 3 about why your program is amazeballs. Okay, if you don't know why your program is different from 70% of what's out there, I encourage you to go do again market research calls. Seriously, it's gold. And 2, go look at other programs. Not to compare, but to enliven you about like, yes, what I have to offer is different. Yes, what I have to offer is really amazing. Yes, my work is really awesome because I do this instead and I do it from this perspective and it's me. And that's huge, okay? This is not a competitiveness. This is like you have your own unique value to bring to the world. And you can do it a unique way and just slightly different ways so that like it really actually helps the person get to where they need to go. Okay. So that's number 5. So those are 5 major objections. We quickly talked about each one. Okay. The money that I need to pray about it. I need to meditate about it. I need to feel about it. I need to talk to my partner or dog or cat. I'm not sure if this is the right time for me. And then I'm not sure if this is the program for me. Okay. Now, sometimes you can get 1 or 2 of these, like the money thing, and then I'm not sure this is the right program for me, right? Or the money thing, and then like, can I go talk to my husband? Or the money thing, and then blah, right? That's okay. Now, here's kind of how I solve this issue and really understand all of it at once, because this is like my cure-all on my calls for everything, because it helps you dive deeper. Okay, you ready, guys? So I basically respond and I say, okay, great, to whatever they're saying, because it is like, I want to acknowledge that like, it's okay to feel scared. It's okay to feel like this is a lot. It's okay to like be unsure if this is the right program for you. That's okay. It's okay to feel like this is not the right time. Like they know themselves. That's all right. Now let's kind of recap a little bit. I want to get some groundwork about like where you're actually standing right now. So on a scale from 1 to 10, how do you feel about this program and if it's right for you? How do you feel? Okay, I'm at like a 7. Okay, great. 7's awesome. So let's dive into more about like what the concerns are here. And this is my cure-all, because there's usually 3 things and there's usually a couple things underneath it. So there's usually 3 reasons why you need to think about it, or, you know, the money doesn't feel right. And we can talk about that a little bit more. And just let me know if it's one of these 3 things. Okay. Now, if they've asked about the husband and the other one, I just want you to recap this anyways, because this helps you clarify why they need to go do those other things. Okay. So still use this, and then we'll talk about caveats in a second. So there's usually 3 concerns. 1, it's me and you don't really like me, and you and I aren't really aligned to work together. Oh my gosh, no, definitely not you. Okay, great. It's not you. It's something else. 2, you don't know if this is the right program for you. You don't believe that the service is going to do what it's going to do. So that is number 5, right? I'm not sure if this program is the right fit. Yeah, I've done a program like this before and I don't really know if I can run ads right now. Okay, great. Let's talk about what that means. Okay. And then 3, it's the price. Which one of these is it for you? Okay, well, it's definitely not you. I really like you. No, this program is going to be amazing, but yeah, the price is I just don't know if I can do that. Okay, well, let's talk about the price. Okay. Other version is, no, the price, I mean, that seems super valuable. I think I could probably swing the payments. I just, I feel like I've done this before and I just don't know how you're going to show me how to basically do organic or how to do funnels. Like, I don't really know much about funnels. What does that mean? Great. Let's talk about funnels. Let's talk about organic. Let's talk about what that means, right? And insert whatever it is you do. Okay, let's talk about boundaries. Let's talk about transformation. Let's talk about energy healing. Let's talk about, personal development. Let's talk about enneagrams. Let's talk about whatever it is included that you do. Let's talk about that. Or it might even be something simple like, I just don't know how we're going to get on our calls. Like, how do I do that? Great. I'm going to send you a portal and you're going to log into it, right? Just insert the thing that you do. Now, the 3 reasons why I say that is like that covers everything is because if it's not you, I gotta watch my fingers because I'm about to do if it's not you, it's usually 2 things. It's a program, middle finger, program, or it's a price. Okay. And if it's the program, that means that you need to do a better job at explaining why your program is so important and valuable in what it offers. Okay. And why it's different. So the reason why I do it this way is because I'm actually teaching you strategies that are multi-level approaches so that you can get clients with or without ads. You can get clients with or without funnels, and you can get clients with all 3. Great. Awesome. So it really is just about reasserting why your program can do the things that it's saying and how you deliver that. Okay, this is why I said you need to really get clear about the why, the what, the how, the when, because if you're talking about the how piece and you don't know exactly what, like how you're going to teach them that, or, how are they going to understand that, we usually gloss over that pretty quickly because sometimes it's just not as, the deliverable pieces, right? It's just not as sexy. It's not as important. This is where you get to hash out the how. Great. So we're going to have calls on Zoom, and then you're going to have a membership portal, and then you're going to have this, right? And now, so if it's not those 2 and it's the price, this is the one that most people get stuck on. This is really where you need to dive more into their money. Okay. You need to dive more into how we can make this work. So if it isn't you and they love you and they love the service and they love the program, they know it's going to change their life. Boom, price. Okay. Now here's the thing that I always usually say is, and especially because I have a more financial ROI with my programs, is that like I can financially know that you're going to be able to get to where you want to be in 5 or 6 months, period. Not a guarantee because they have to do the work. This is not a done for you. This is a done with you. So my clients have to do the work. I can't just like be like, you sign up with me and then magically all the clients, appear. You actually have to do the work. So no guarantees there, but you have to do it. If you do it and I'm with you, it happens. There's no other solution. Like there's no other option. The outcome is that. Now, same thing for you. If it's showing up, coming to the calls, ready and willing to be teachable and coachable and to do the energy work necessary or whatever it is that you're doing, the outcome's the outcome, right? Now, you really have to describe that price. That price investment is equivalent to the transformation. Okay. And that kind of jump for them is, again, going back to the pain point. So if you go back to the pain points that you had early in the call, and again, you're writing this down and you're hearing them say, I've just been stuck. I haven't gained new clients in the last several months. I just don't know what I'm doing wrong. Yeah, bring that to the surface. It's like, hey, you haven't signed a new client in like 4 months. If you don't sign another client in the next 4 months, you said that you're going to have to go back to full time and you really don't want to do that. Or like you guys are like talking about like, this is like the last ditch effort. So if you knew how to get clients and you wouldn't have to worry about where your next paycheck's coming from, like how to get them on a monthly basis, right? So again, it's talking about what that looks like. Same thing with any other niche, right? It's talking about the body and like understanding what their pain points are. Like if you're not feeling comfortable with their own body and having that self-love and confidence, it's like, it causes distress later down the road. You like stress and like how your relationship is with your kids or their family, whatever it is that they said. So bringing the pain point back up to the surface is really important because that just shows that like the investment that they're making is equivalent to the pain that they're already experiencing. Like they already know that they've been wanting to solve this. They've been trying to find a solution to get there. And then here you are. And usually, and this is why I also talk about, the money is just a sticky subject for all of us. Money is like an energetic equivalent sometimes to just allow us to expand. Now, money is not everything. Definitely not. But in this framework in the 3D, it's definitely a tool. And most of us have a really messed up view about like how we value money and what we place on certain things. Like people buy $2,000 TVs and do not blink, and yet they don't even go and get, do self-care for their bodies, and it's like less than $100. So the disparity here in investing in ourselves and our well-being is so upside down because of like our capitalistic, materialistic view. And so that's why we really have to dive into the call, into the pain points and the goals to really clarify like what is really important. This is how I can help you get there. You said this is where you wanted to be, and that's why I'm here. And just holding the space to them. And most of the time, I offer extended payment plans. And so if somebody's like, I just can't do 6 payments of this, is there anything else that we could do here? Yeah. And the only reason I offer those for people is if I know that they're an aligned client, if I know they're going to show up and do the work. And you're going to hear that through that call with them. Okay. Because if they're not, they have a habit of behavior that shows that they just show for something and ditch, they're probably not going to be the best person to really stick to this. So you really, again, like, why is now the time to change? Why is this different for you? Okay. And you hear their answer, and the answer is usually because I'm tired of, messing around. I'm tired of like pretending like this is okay. And I know that I have to make a change. Otherwise this is going to be miserable for me. Right. And so it's a big issue to shift that for them and to make sure that they can make that change. Okay. So again, with the money, this is where you really get to be flexible. Like, enjoy this part, guys. Like, if somebody wants to work with you and they're just trying to figure out the money and it's just a matter of logistics, figure out the logistics. The other thing that you have in your toolkit is you can also just price drop. Like, some of you are so worried that like, I need to make sure that I get my full thing. Okay, great. But if you knocked off $1,000 and it was easier for the client, would you be okay with that? Yes. And I think that's fine, right? Like, this is just about you serving them where they are, and then also realizing that you have multiple ways to serve people. It doesn't need to be all or nothing. They don't only have to do pay in full. They don't only have to do the 2 payment plans that you provided. You can offer a different one, but it really needs to be aligned with what that person is ready to do. And like I said, if they're just not willing to make any adjustments, or not willing to share with you what's really going on, and it's really more like, I don't have it, I just can't do this. Okay, then they're just not a fit, right? And they're not going to afford it, or it's just about them like not being able to put food on the table. Do not take money from them. Walk away. So really, my cure-all for all the objections is really to ask them that 3-pointed question of like, where you want to scale from 1 to 10. It's usually the 3 things that I see as a problem here. It's usually me, it's a service, it's a price, and figure out which one it is. Dive into that. And then at the end of that, ask them again, okay, now that we've understand that there's a different payment plan that we can do, how do you feel now? Oh my God, I'm like a solid 11. Okay. So then you realize like they're ready to go. You can take their deposit over the phone. You can get them signed up with the invoice, whatever it is that you do. Make sure that you're getting them to that point to where they need to be. And if they do need to feel it with it, feel into it, right? Like I said, put that on a call later and just check in with them again at 1 to 10. Where is this at? Like, yes, none of those. I really just need to feel into it and make sure that this is it. And just figure out some logistics. It's like, okay, so let me just clarify that. So you're figuring out some logistics for the money now. You just need to like go into the bank. She's like, yeah. I just need to go to the bank and figure out this and like how I can get you that first payment. Awesome. Let's set up another call. Okay. So then when you set up that another call with them, you can follow up with them on Monday or whatever day it is, and go through the things again, get the rest of their contract signed up, and make sure that they're ready to go. Okay. And if they get the husband on the phone, like I said, recap, pain points, goals, objections, why we're here. She wanted to talk to you and talk about this on the phone. Okay, I don't know why I'm here. I feel like this is a great opportunity. I get that one a lot. So really understand that the objections are just an opportunity to serve deeper, guys. Taking this next step in your programs with people, it's a big deal. It's a big deal, and you need to honor that it's a big deal with your clients, and that they're going to have some feelings coming up. Okay. Some questions, and like, that's not a problem. Answer those questions. Yeah, no, if you don't know how you're going to get the calls, let's talk about that. If you feel like you've done this before, let's talk about that. If you wanted to have your husband or partner or dog on the phone, go get them, right? If you want to talk about the price, talk more about the price, right? And realize that you have tools in your arsenal, guys, to be able to change this. Don't just jump off the call the minute things get hard, because here's what that shows is that you can't be there in the sticky stuff. Let me say that again. If you just jump off the phone The minute somebody says like, oh, I don't know if I can do this, it's just too much. Okay, great, bye. What does that really show them? That shows them that you actually do not have the capacity to hold space for somebody, because it's hard, it's sticky, it's rough. So I urge you to dig deep and just sit there and be like, ooh, this is so uncomfortable for me. And then realize you have all these money stories coming up in the back of your head. And when you can understand that and just settle those down, this isn't about you, this is about them, because you've done the same thing. You know what that feels like. Just acknowledge like, yep, I remember those feelings. They're going through that right now. Be with them. They just need somebody to be with them on the phone and to hold that space for them. Okay. So like I said, these objections are really a place to serve deeper. I feel like if you can get them to that point and help them, serve them, hold the space for them, walk them on the scale to 1 to 10, ask them the 3-pointed thing. Is it me? Is it the service? Is it the price? And then get them to a 10. You're solid, really. And sometimes it's just having another follow-up call, and that's okay. You know, I just don't feel like it's a disservice. I do feel like it's a disservice to just jump off the phone immediately. If you can't hold space for somebody with the sticky stuff, how are you going to serve them in a 4-month, 3-month, 6-month, 12-month offer? That show, right? So really allow yourself to hold deep space for them. Make sure that you're showing up for them with whatever they're saying, and just keep asking why. Keep digging deeper, because this is about you opening that up with them. Be like, hey, it's okay. Let's talk about that. Like, I know I've been here too. This is hard. I understand. You know, I've made some really heavy investments in my life that were really scary. And I have said the exact same things. This is why I'm talking about that. And so I've said the exact same things. I've known that I had to work through my own shit to get to where I needed to go, to get to where I want to be. And it really is just about me clarifying that within myself of like, is this the next right step? Can they actually help me? Right? And showing that for them and teaching that with them. Okay. And so that's the recap of last week, of this week, of the objections. If you guys have any questions about how to handle that, about different questions, about objections or what people say, put that in the comments below. I would love to answer all of those for you. I think that's probably my favorite part, because this is like coaching at its finest. This is deep diving at its finest about what's really going on. They say it's this, but what's really the problem here? And so we can talk about that and really uncover that for the person. They're ready to sign up and ready to get started with your high ticket offer. Okay. So this has been an amazing series. I hope you guys have gotten so much value of it. There's been 4 weeks. So if you missed the first 3 weeks, go back and watch those videos. We basically go into deep detail about how to create a high ticket, super magnetic offer that sells, all the aspects of with that, about how to basically make it magnetic, make sure you're getting all the right pieces in the right places, how to make it co-creative, and then diving into the sales, how to use everything you've created into that framework for your sales and discovery calls. And then today we dived even deeper into sales and to objections. So again, this has been an amazing 4-week series. I hope that you guys have gotten such good value out of it. And let me know in the comments below any other objections, questions you have, and I'd love to answer those. Bye.